There's nothing like a train, a steam train. Come to the country, see what you'll see. People polishing tank locomotives, people like you and me. People stoking boilers and people tapping wheels. There's steam building up in the country, in the Kent and Sussex fields. And it isn't just for history, and it isn't just for fun. It's just to show the whole darn world how a railway should be run. And it isn't just for history, and it isn't just for fun. It's just to show the whole darn world how a railway should be run. On steam, on steam, on steam, on steam.
In the pleasant town of Tenterden is one of Britain's charming little branch railways. It's been here since 1900. It's been known and loved by the people of the Rother Valley and many railway enthusiasts for whom it was a delightful backwater. Its leisurely mixed trains and corrugated iron stations delighted everyone. The main depot is at Rolvenden, just down the hill. Here could be seen a motley collection of old coaches and engines, some of them not quite fit for work. The railway is in the hands of the Preservation Society now, having been saved from the scrapyard in 1961.
Yeah.
Opening up the Weald, said a newspaper in 1900. Colonel Stevens built the railway from Robertsbridge to Rolvenden. He built it simply and cheaply. Economies had to be made, and these were brought in. Very little film exists of the early days. A visitor to Bodiam Castle also filmed the little train arriving. And later, the train returned. This rather poor film is included because of its importance. Photographed in the 1950s, it's the only footage of the northern section to Headcorn Junction. Regular passenger trains ceased to run over the whole of the line in 1954, except for a few hop pickers specials. However, a small goods service carried on from High Halden to Robertsbridge. At Robertsbridge, a bullied Q1 passes the Little Terrier. Later, a small diesel ran the service. This is Junction Road Halt. Total closure came in 1961. Soon after, specials appeared. A preservation society has been formed. No wonder BR staff look worried. Strange locos began to appear. In 1967, a train was hired by a television company, filming sequences for a play, which was best forgotten. But no one could forget that this was to be the last steam train to Robertsbridge. Society members were conducting their own traffic census on the A21, disputing figures given by the Ministry of Transport in their argument for closing down the railway to make room for a new bypass.
They two hands up until they get equal distance upon 21. And then when they get to there, your brake is in full operation. And to put the brake on, you can either that with a trigger on you can release that, keep moving it.
A magazine kept the ever-increasing members aware of the protracted negotiations to take over the railway. BR allowed members to maintain the line while this was going on. Locomotives kept arriving. The girders on this bridge by Rolvenden needed replacing. In the yard itself, the growing number of locos and rolling stock needed constant attention. In 1968, at Tunbridge Loco Depot were 2 USA tanks. They'd been on their way to be scrapped when the K&ESR stepped in with an offer. So today they will be loaded onto a transporter and taken to Rolvenden. Disgusted if Tunbridge Wells would have something to say if this got stuck in the town. The sight of a large locomotive coming towards them in a country lane was too much for some nuns in a car. Negotiations with BR and the Ministry of Transport went on and on. Suddenly, BR banned all movement and chained a sleeper across the end of the Rolvenden yard. A secret weapon was devised. This would be used to clear weeds on the track. BR wouldn't sell until the Ministry of Transport relented and granted a light railway running order. Members were urged to write to their MPs about it. The press became interested. Mr. Robin Doust, one of the founder members, was asked about the situation.
Well, when we heard the reasons for Mrs. Castle's refusal to grant us permission to run the railway, We felt they were very unreasonable, and we were even more annoyed when she apparently refused to listen to reason. And we circulated details of her reasons to our members and suggested that if they felt as we did, they should write to their MP and complain. And apparently they did this, because of course there have been over 26 MPs now who have written to the Minister asking for an explanation of the matter.
How do you propose to run this railway to profit?
Well, this railway will be subsidised to quite a large extent by the association members, both by their subscriptions, their yearly subscriptions, and by the voluntary labour that they put into the line, and which of course they have put an awful amount in already.
Donald Wilson was asked if locals would get tired of the smoke and noise.
Well, I hope they won't get tired of it. They haven't complained so far, and I think obviously it is new to them, and we have to be careful not to let a lot of smoke out when we get near the towns, and the crews have instructions to do this so as we don't cause little annoyance travel as possible.
Locomotives kept arriving. This is the Norwegian. Again, it was on its way to the scrapyard when members brought it here. Some limited movement was allowed, and very welcome film work started to come in. The Norwegian was featured in a film set in Egypt. Peckett of 1923. One of the USA tanks in service. With all this activity, Grice has appeared from out of the undergrowth. The S&T department hadn't been idle. Their new box was nearly finished under the leadership of Nick Blake. With the closure of many lines at that time, there were many redundant signals around. This is Barkham Mills near Lewes. This has been bought by the S&T. At Rolvenden, the pride of Sussex, the P-class, is being stripped down for a lengthy overhaul. This engine used to work at Hodson's Mill in Robertsbridge. At Robertsbridge, the K&ESR had some stock that had to be removed, because soon the track was to be lifted. So one cold weekend in January 1972, a working party tried to clear the rails in order to bring out the rolling stock. Member Mike Hart tells us what they hope to do.
Preparing the train ready to move the stock from Robertsbridge station up to Northiam, a trip of about 6 miles. Ford diesel, built in the 1930s, is doing the shunting at the moment. We hope to be finished by about 1 o'clock midday.
This is the very last K&ESR train to leave Robertsbridge.
Yeah.
By the level crossing on the A21 was Hodson's Mill. Some wagons were collected from their sidings. Junction Road Halt was about to receive its last train. At Bodiam, a hotbox was causing some concern. Here at Northiam, most of the stock will stay. In June 1972, a birthday was celebrated. The engines show off. The Norwegian was cooking sausages. The centre of attention, number 3, Bodiam, now 100 years old. It came to Tenterden first in 1901, bought second-hand from the LBSC. Apart from a few years elsewhere in BR service, she's been here ever since. Charlie Kentsley, her regular driver, on the right. Sutton was used one day in 1974 for some very important work.
Pressurised inspector is passing out 4 be our drivers who will then be our instructors. Yeah, the instructors will then train our drivers and firemen.
Suddenly, the railway was given permission to run a limited public service prior to reopening. The news soon got around, and many came down to take a ride from Tenterden to Rolvenden.
Like a train, a When I was a young boy on a train from trip to Crewe, I'd lean against the wall with a thermos flask and I'd watch the trains go through. Smell the steam and the coal and the smoke and look for the sparks and flames. Smell the smell of the lubricating oil, but I'll never see them again. Give us back the old black fives and take away the trains that smell like tractors and look like buses and sound like aeroplanes. When did you last see a semaphore signal or a gantry over the train? Or roasting coal in the fire?
This was the 10,000th passenger. Then came the official reopening day. Member Mike Burgess takes up the story.
At last, the official reopening. It was June the 1st, 1974. Up from Rolvenden came the motive power for the day. 2 terriers and Arthur, our spare loco, who had recently been completely overhauled and will run up and down the sidings for photo fodder. Cranbrook Town Band gave a festive air to the occasion, as number 10 received a final polish. Slowly she steams forward for the opening ceremony. The traditional bottle of champagne across the buffer beam.
As they test the fortune, one who may travel on her.
The christening is over, and our guests climb aboard for the opening run down the line. We come to the end of 13 years of struggle. Our story started in 1961 when a bunch of dedicated youngsters saved the line from the scrapyard. We've come through all the troubles you can name. Inquiries, discussions, objections, disasters, inspections, and lack of finance. The faithful few have survived all this and more. Today, the farmer's line has been reborn, and the Rother Valley echoes again with the sound of steam.
A steam train. Come to the country, see what you'll see. People polishing tank locomotives, people like you and me. People stoking boilers and people tapping wheels. There's steam building up in the country, in the Kent and Sussex fields.
Now it was the turn of the Santa specials. A local bobby plays Father Christmas. The Norwegian was helping out too. The Norwegian's crew have a short break before taking the loco back to Rolvenden. Meanwhile, at the other end of the line, contractors were removing the track. A sad day indeed. There goes the chance of the K&ESR trains reaching Robertsbridge one enlightened day. The projected bypass never happened. At Tenterden, some concrete sleeper track arrived, but it later proved unsuitable. The S&T boys were having a rare spring clean. Today's train is going to be a special one. It's the first passenger train to go to Wittersham Road station. This mogul was here for some time. It was too heavy for the line, so it went to the Bluebell Railway. At Rolvenden, Sutton is getting ready to join the train. The extension to Wittersham Road had been held up because of this bridge over the new mill channel. Engineers had to raise its height to fit in with the Kent Water Authority's drainage plans here. This special weekend had brought down many railway enthusiasts to witness the extension run, and perhaps just to look at the locos. Do schoolboys still want to be engine drivers? For the last train of the day, just the Norwegian went to Wittersham Road. The station then was just a heap of clay. The station building came from Wales. Many trains later, the station was completed and was to be opened by Mr. Edward Heath MP, the former Prime Minister. The years rolled by. In 1984, the 10th anniversary of the reopening was celebrated. A large band this time supplied a background to the festivities. Down at Rolvenden, the loco depot was busy. Guest loco, the 14XX class Great Western Railway from Didcot, is carefully dusted by Colin Edwards. We don't want to upset our Great Western fans. Bill Deeds was leading the celebrations at Tenterden and then reopened the railway again.
Every way that one can think of, ladies and gentlemen, this is an asset.
See you, Mark. Sorry, you won't get by. Get everybody's way.
They've managed to get someone to man Cranbrook Road level crossing today. Mr. Deeds did the whole journey to Wittersham Road station. It was looking smart today. The platform had been furnished with some lovely gas lamps. Mr. Deeds took an interest in these posters advertising other railways. Let's hope he doesn't want to join them. What of the state of the rest of the line? North of Tenterden, a riding school uses a little bit. At High Holden, the old station is now used for roadside sales. Northiam. Here it's hoped to bring back trains in 1990. Bodiam seems as remote as ever. No trains will ever get here unless more members lend a hand and get stuck in, restoring the railway. All departments are very short of volunteers in all skills. The progress of extensions depends on members' support entirely. Robertsbridge has been smartened up. It's now a Network South East station. No more diesel trains either. The K&ESR bay is still here, waiting for a terrier perhaps? The water tower long gone, and just a gap in the trees where the little tank engines used to take trains to Tenterden. At Tenterden, a new toilet block, and the old Maidstone bus office is now here as a cafeteria. Commercial work is important to the railway's economics. In 1986, a television company hired a train and Wittersham Road station for sequences in a forthcoming serial. The station acquired a new wooden backing and some posters admired by Duck Lindsay. Nigel Havers is the star, and the actor playing the guard gets some authentic instructions.
I'm just going for a Charmer. Charmer episode 4, is that right?
Keep running, make watch still, please.
Commercial photography is a frequent occurrence. This bus is being photographed for a stately home advertisement. Another good way of raising cash is exhibitions. Here at Cannon Street, one of the area groups held a very successful sales stand.
Going to be down the club at all this week? Sorry.
At Tenterden, a large carriage and wagon repair shop has been erected. Among rolling stock being repaired, John Liddell is restoring these fine old coaches to their former glory. These two coaches have arrived from Ashford, where they'd been in use as a bungalow. Because they've been protected by wooden cladding, the original paintwork has been preserved. In the repair shed at Rolvenden, the P class is nearing the end of a lengthy overhaul. Here's another P class on the Bluebell. After many years spent in pieces, the P class was finally completed and was running about in 1987. Outside, loco crews are preparing today's engine. It's a guest loco from Tyseley Depot, on loan for a few months. It was the last steam engine used by London Transport in 1971, then known as L94, seen here at Barbican Station. The remains of the other USA tank. Doug Lindsay awaits the pannier for today's Wealden Pullman. A wedding party has booked tonight's Pullman train. No, it's not Philip Shaw. It's Andrew and Andrea Philpott with 65 guests.
Maybe we could do that. We've got to do that for 1 minute. What is it, George? Yeah, I know, it's it.
For a few summers, the railway held spectaculars on a set theme. This one is Steaming Home, to celebrate the role railways played in bringing troops and their equipment back from Europe. The hard-working committee, John and Martin, had their hands full this weekend. Star of Dad's Army, actor Clive Dunn, is here to add atmosphere to the proceedings and keep an eye on things.
That's a very long camera you got there, Sonny.
British and American freight trains would be running, and some troop trains too. The first train returns with the guest loco, the pannier from Tyseley. The troops were disembarked at Rolvenden, even before they'd finished a well-earned pint or two. Amongst the fun and festivities, routine work must still be done. Trains were running about all day, a day which was hot, sunny and dry. But the railway's fire brigade were ready and enthusiastic.
Oh dear. Oh, cook! There any more cars! Oh, cook! I didn't mean to bring all of me.
Trains had run through to Wittersham Road Station all day. The fine condition of the track, signalling and station building is a credit to the various departments concerned. Hidden in a corner of the picnic area is a reminder of the grim past. During the last war, a gunnery crew used this air raid shelter. Shells were kept in here. The gun was only fired once and broke all the windows for miles around, so the story goes. Trains can be propelled along this track beyond the station, but only to this bridge. The bridge is ready for traffic, but the track to Northiam requires a lot more work before Tenterden trains run through again. One wonders if Colonel Stevens is watching from that great shunting yard in the sky with a twinkle in his eye. The trains to Tenterden.
Steaming down the levels, will we ever see their light again? Singing round the banking, yes, there's nothing like a train. A steam train. Come to the country, see what you'll see. People polishing tank locomotives, people like you and me. People stoking boilers and people tapping wheels. There's steam building up in the country, in the Kent and Sussex fields. And it isn't just for history, and it isn't just for fun. It's just to show the whole darn world how a railway should be run. And it isn't just for history, and it isn't just for fun. It's just to show the whole darn world how a railway should be run. On steam, on steam, on steam.